No, CJ, you stay in for the filter thing, even at your parents' house. All right. You got a haircut? Do you get a haircut? You're trying to hide it. Oh, shit.
Whoa.
Oh, shit. Private Pile over here. What the fuck?
Yeah, I didn't want this to happen.
What happened?
Wait a minute. You didn't want it to happen.
I didn't want this.
It happened.
But it's here. Long story short, I didn't do my due diligence and barber research in the city of Philadelphia. I picked a salon that I will not name that's awfully close to my apartment.
Bro.
She was an elderly lady who did not have a good gauge on what.
How elderly?
75 around there. Yeah. She
75.
To give you an idea.
Wait a minute, bro. Who gets their hair cut by a 75-year-old lady?
I Googled barber near me. It was a block down the street. I went. To give you an idea, when she was cutting my hair, she didn't use her other hand to like get a grasp on my head. She just one hand freeballed it with the clippers with no attachment on.
Well, that's a cool move. She's cool. She's a lot cooler than you are.
She just fucked up your head.
Very
so
neat.
didn't even give a shit.
Is this the result of the haircut, or
No.
did you then you then did it?
No, so I left it with an awful Nazi haircut.
Yeah,
and so I said, fuck it, I'm gonna go home and adjust it. So I got the clippers that I had, and I start chopping. They die on me midway.
Oh no!
My clippers
brutal.
die. So I had to use scissors.
Oh, CJ.
By the time I was done with that, admittedly, I looked like I had some form of cancer. I was going through treatment. It was not good. I put on a hat, a hood, a mask. I was gonna put on a mask anyway, but I put on everything to cover myself.
Yeah.
Sunglasses
at night, everything, whatever it takes.
Look like the Unabomber. You probably look like the Unabomber.
I walked to Target, bought new clippers, finished the job. Here I am.
That Target on Chestnut, is that the one you went to? Yeah. Well, okay, so you got to go to Nafis. Moving on, Nafis is my barber. He's in Philly. Nafis. He's in not Manayunk. What's right next to Manayunk? East Falls, but like right off of West River Drive. Like we'll send you to Nafis. He'll even come to you. Not the old lady. Holy shit!
I prefer that. Yeah.
This is the best.
I like this old lady. I like this old lady.
She's got great. Moxie. She's got moxie. All right, let's do this. Oh my God, that is so good. Oh my goodness gracious. The Rights to Ricky Sanchez podcast is presented by DraftKings Sportsbook. You can sign up for DraftKings Sportsbook using promo code RTRS, and brought to you by Big Barker Therapeutic Dog Beds. Get yours at bigbarker.com/Ricky, as well as Body Bio supplements for a healthier life. Get 20% off anything at bodybio.com with code RTRS20. And Stateside Urban Craft Vodka, the official sponsor of the Corner 3 newsletter with Zoe, statesidevodka.com. On the show tonight, well, the Sixers came out really fucking flat, made a game of it at the end, but eventually lost to the Miami Heat, missing their three best players. Not great. Also not great. It's December 15th. We were supposed to be doing a trade pod tonight, and there's just nothing. Daryl, are you awake? What are you doing? Also, we congratulate Danny Ainge on his new job and Steph Curry on his new record. Before we get going, this came from Matt. 2 longtime Ricky listeners got married this past weekend. He wanted us to give them a shout out. Josie and Lauren, 2 cornerstones of the East Coast drumline community. I don't know. I didn't know that was a community. Brought people together through their love of music, teaching, and the Sixers for years. Josie and Lauren were the ones that introduced Matt to the pod years ago when they said they were going to the lottery party. So congratulations to Josie and Lauren. It can't be the Josie from Kid Rock because Josie died or whatever. So different Josie. Without any further ado, Amos and the Chef.
We were right, y'all. We were right. Even when it went wrong, we were right. We was right, y'all. We were right. So say the name. Say the name. We were right, y'all. We were right. Even when it went wrong, we were right. We were right, y'all. We were right. So say the name. Say the name. Say the name.
Say the name. Say the name. I say the name. I say the name, motherfucker. Say the name.
Likes Tricky Sanchez forever.
Welcome to the Rights to Ricky Sanchez podcast. I'm Spike Eskin, along with a guy who is eligible to be traded as of midnight this morning. That is Mike Levin.
I would fucking kill to be traded
Yeah.
to any team in the league. That's
Yeah.
not this team. They suck. They're bad.
Yeah.
They're not a good team. I was right to be pessimistic about them. I
2
revoke.
pods ago.
I take it back. Everything that any qualifications. No, they're not good. They're not a good basketball team. They're not well coached. They're not well built. They're not well thought of. Any of the wells. They just suck. They're just not a good team. It's a really poorly constructed roster. Everything has gone wrong. They are 15-14. They lost to the Heat without Jimmy and Bam and Tyler Hero and Markieff
three.
Morris and
Yeah,
Cody
top
Martin.
3 scores.
So
Yeah.
Caleb Martin. So like
Yeah.
what do they say to themselves at home? What do they say to themselves in the locker room? Like, it's just like, I was so uninvested in that game, even as they were coming back and Tobias hit the 3 to tie it. It's just like, there's no difference in them winning or losing this game. Like they suck. They're not good. And regardless, unless a wild trade happens in the next, from as we're recording this podcast to 2 months from now, they're just like, it's just a pointless, irrelevant team. Just like if Ben Simmons, if Ben was just like
wasted
out
year.
for the season, if Ben was just hurt for the whole season and we weren't like worrying about like what's the trade, what's it going to be, if he was just totally out, they would just be a wholly irrelevant franchise right now. There's just nothing interesting about them whatsoever. Embiid's obviously good. Maxi's obviously good and fun. They have some other guys who played well sometimes, but as a team, what are they good at? Like, what is their philosophy? What is their team ethos? They just are existing pointlessly. And it may as well be like 2012. Like, what a waste of time.
Yeah, this year is a total waste. I would say if 25 was hurt, if that's what the thing was, it would be a year to tank, honestly. Like that's how wholly irrelevant the season is. And all of the things you said are true, but they came out flat in this game. Like,
they come out flat all the time.
Yeah, but
they do this all the
after
time.
that, yeah, sure. I'm sorry, I wasn't trying to dismiss you there. Absolutely, but like after that Memphis game, where like Memphis was short players too, or whatever.
Everybody is.
After that, yeah, everybody is all the time. After that Memphis game, and you're at home against a team that generally you don't like or whatever, they're a rival. You come out just and get your ass handed to you by Vincent for the third fucking time. Like, it's embarrassing. Like PJ Tucker finger rolling, like skyhook finger rolling in the middle of the lane and talking shit. Like, the whole thing, talent aside, like the whole thing is like, that is an embarrassing game. And I do think it's possible the other thing going on has taken its toll on morale in a way, because I do think it's possible that they are also thinking to themselves, what the fuck are we doing out here? Like, we're all just waiting around for something to happen.
Maybe.
But man,
I honestly think that gives them too much credit.
Oh, really?
Like, they're just not. Yeah, they have a bunch of like seventh men and Joel Embiid, a very flawed Tobias, and a young and fun Tyrese Maxey. Like, everybody else is like basically the seventh. This should be the seventh man on a team. It's just, it's not. They're not good enough. They're not enough good players on the team and they get out rebounded, out hustled, outshot, outpassed by everyone. They are deeply confused by a zone every single time. This isn't the first time this happens. It happens all the time, and they're still so confused, and they treat it so slow. The ball moves so slow. They're never a step ahead on a pass. It's always a step behind. It's always, we just missed the window by a little bit. You just missed the window by a little. If you made this pass half a beat earlier, that's an open three, but then the guy's closing out and he's too late, and now you're having to drive, and then it's a charge because no one knows how to drive without getting called for a charge if someone steps in. They're just like, yeah, it's really fun to watch Maxey do his thing. Like, he's incredible. 11 to 15, hit 2 threes, 27 points. Like, guy's the man. He's so special. I also love watching him play defense. Like, watching him, he just has energy on the defensive end. He'll get blocks just from contesting on ball, which is rare. I really like watching him. He's, as I've said, like, he's got to not get tunnel vision once he drives, because guys are going to keep stepping in and taking charges on him, or just block him at the rim because he can't elevate over people. He's got to be able to feel that a double team and help is coming and kick it out to open shooters. He doesn't do it enough, but he's young and he'll learn. It's fine. But I mean, him attacking the rim is like the only thing that they have. Like, he's the only thing to provide juice. It's the only thing to get the crowd up. Like, oh man, they're bad. They're a bad team. I thought Danny played well. I thought Danny had a great game. Gave him a real boost on both ends.
Played great defense second half specifically. Danny was all over the place.
Yeah, he really rotated well.
Shots.
He broke up a bunch of plays, just rotating smartly. It was a nice Danny game. I also liked what Isaiah Joe gave them. A little bit of juice. Well, just willingness to shoot and shoot quickly and make decisions quickly. Like, all that stuff is fine. They can't get Embiid the ball. They just can't get Embiid the ball. Embiid had 13 shots against a team with Dwayne Dedman and Omer Yurtseven as their centers. They just couldn't get him the ball over and over again. Couldn't get him the ball. That's on everyone. That's on Doc. That's on all of the players. I think Embiid's open, but if they're not getting the ball, he should try something else. Like, he didn't shoot in the third quarter until a minute left. He took a trail three. He didn't take a single shot or foul shot in the third quarter until a trail three. It's just like, a really bad shot with under a minute left, with a 10-foot floater fading left. Like, that was a horrendous look. Like, they're just bad. They're just a bad basketball team with occasionally good performances, a theoretically generational two-way center, and just not enough talent and not enough basketball IQ in on the coaching staff and on court to make anything happen. It's bad. It's really frustrating.
They should be better than they are, but it cannot be forgotten that the guy that decided he didn't want to play this year, like he fucked the entire season up. Like, because Morey is left with basically no choice but to sit around and wait, and it leaves a monster, like, takes away a starter, and you're not able to trade that starter for anything. It's like you just dropped off the face of the fucking earth. And if he just got hurt and the team was like this, we would complain sometimes and we'd be excited sometimes, but overall, I feel like we would understand. The guy just disappeared and chose not to play, and it did sort of, like, it turned the season into a throwaway season. Like, he ruined the season. Like, how he handled this ruined the season. Now, I don't know if his value would have been more had he not done this, but it couldn't have been any less. Like, couldn't have been any worse. And not everything you said true, but cannot be ignored. That thing is the proverbial elephant in the room, and it has ruined the season. It basically has made them throw away the entire season. Like, Daryl has to throw away this season to make that trade.
Yeah, pretty much, for the most part. Yeah. I mean, people will say that, plenty of people are still saying that, like, what Doc did and said after the game, it was stupid, but I don't think it's enough to, like, never play. There's plenty of people do it. I think what Doc is doing to Tobias every time he passes up an open three is, like, just as bad.
Maybe worse.
Flailing his arms out. Yeah. But, sometimes relationships can't be repaired, and he's got a buttload of money, and he's deciding to just like himself. It's very strange that he just hasn't played, and like we're hearing rumors every once in a while, but like nothing seems imminent. He hasn't played. Kyrie hasn't played. John Wall hasn't played. Like all ostensibly just like healthy, like players in or near their prime, and just like not playing basketball. Like I don't know. I feel like the pandemic robbed me of like a year or two of my prime, which is not like excellent, but like a prime of like basketball playing ability. And like I'm pissed off, and like I don't know how those guys
Or just volunteering.
are. They're
it.
just like cool. Like I don't want
Yeah.
to. I don't want to play. It's like I don't know. Playing is fun,
Well, Wall
and I would like
itself,
to do it. It's
I
what
would
you're
say
best at.
Wall's situation is kind of complicated because they don't want him to play, really, or whatever that is. This one seems like the most egregious. I don't know. I agree with you. I wouldn't want to just especially if my job was physical in nature and had sort of like the end date that a professional athlete has on it, just to throw it away this way is amazing. I actually like. I wish the worst for him. I hope it doesn't work out. Like I don't wish the best for him. I don't feel bad for him. I hope wherever he goes, the crowd just obliterates him. And I if he hadn't told everybody that we were the ones that were full of shit, maybe I wouldn't feel this way. But I wish the worst.
The collection of like several excuses from Rich Paul and the people around them of like it's all of this thing, and now they're just like, okay, we're not there. It just doesn't. I don't know. It's not a good time. It's not a good time, and it's like they had played great against Golden State. That was a fun win. It was fun that Draymond was like, I'm really mad at this, like a game that I haven't been this mad at losing this game in like many years. And he might think that because the Sixers suck.
Right.
Like there's a chance that he's like, why are we losing to the fucking Sixers when this season they fucking suck? Just not a team. Yeah, I think you're right. I think it's everybody's fault, but like it's hard for me to sit here and be like, this is a horribly assembled team, and to not at least acknowledge like this wasn't the intent. Like the intent was not to play without one of your max contract guys.
Yeah. Theoretically, the second best player on the team, you would either trade him or he would play.
Yeah, for sure. And I still don't think they'd be a perfect team, but they would certainly be better if he was playing. And yeah, I mean, they were the 1 seed in the East last year with him, and they didn't really lose anybody that mattered. They gained a better stretch 4 and a better backup 5, not a great backup 5, not a perfect backup 5.
And Maxey is better.
And Maxey took a step forward. Like but still a flawed team, and whatever the fuck. We're doing we're doing a podcast.
Yeah. I want your pick. The Eagles are 7-point favorites at home on Sunday.
Boy.
What do you think? Over the Washington football team.
That
It looks
me.
like, I don't know if you saw the video, Hurts was limping around today.
Didn't see it.
I would be, he was they're splitting reps between Hurts and Minshew. Hurts said he hopes to play, but there was video of him like limping around. He's definitely limping around. But Washington missing several defensive starters. What do you think? Eagles -7.
I wouldn't bet the Eagles.
No. Yeah, it's probably not a bad idea. DraftKings Sportsbook. All right. So I don't know if you're going to bet on this either. The self-made American prize fighter is squaring off in the ring with a former MMA champion for the second time. That's right. DraftKings Sportsbook is hooking you up with a knockout offer for Jake Paul versus Tyron Woodley. New customers bet just $1 on Saturday's fight, win $100 in free bets if either boxer lands a punch. Initially I was annoyed with the Paul brother guys. Now I'm completely amused by them. I would watch anything that they do. I actually think they're hilarious. 8 rounds, as long as somebody lands one punch, you can turn your $1 into $100 in free bets if either fighter lands a punch. Love DraftKings Sportsbook. I would bet on this rather than the Birds game. Download the DraftKings Sportsbook app now. Use promo code RTRS to turn $1 into $100 in free bets. If either main event boxer lands a punch, that's code RTRS when the fists fly and Paul versus Woodley. live on pay-per-view this Saturday, only at DraftKings Sportsbook. Got to be 21 or older. New Jersey, Indiana, PA only. New customers only. Minimum $5 deposit and $1 wager required. One per customer. Restrictions apply. See DraftKings.com/sportsbook for details. Gambling problem? Call 1-800-GAMBLER. Do you want to move on to the other stuff? I don't even know. Like, you want to talk about this? I don't even know what. Talk about this game. Maxey had 2 great runs in the game. Kept them in the game in the second, and then basically not single-handedly, but really pushed them to battle back in the fourth. It was, to me, the real positive story of the game was Maxey had a nice game with Embiid on the floor, though Embiid did not really have much of a game. So,
yeah, he was great. I mean, he played excellent. I like that he shot a bunch. He got to the rim. I think he's got to get better at using his left. All the stuff I say. He's great. He's a delight to root for. I wish, like,
stuff I say.
all stuff, whatever the fuck I always say. The
pulling back the curtain.
I will say there was a moment. It should be illegal to show Josh Harris as much as the Sixers do. The broadcast does. It shouldn't be allowed. It shouldn't be like there's sometimes when they show Josh Harris when and they miss like a play. Like Daniel get a steal in the backcourt and we're on like Josh Harris or something. And there was one moment where it was during some run, probably in the second or third quarter, and Josh Harris was sitting courtside next to or right by Meek Mill.
Mm-hmm.
And he like kind of like tapped him on the shoulder, like, come on, let's win this. To Meek Mill. And it's Josh Harris saying that. And I wanted to die in that moment. And I think he should be barred from the court. Like, go sit in a cool box, go entertain people there, go down at halftime, but like, don't fucking make yourself, like, have some respect for yourself. Unless you're going to like put on a jersey and like answer questions after every game. Unless you're going to go to the microphone and like actually answer questions, like you shouldn't be allowed to be that close to the action. You shouldn't be allowed.
Even if you bought the team?
Especially if you bought the team. Especially like get out of there. Like no one's here to see you do that stuff.
Do we hold Meek Mill responsible at all?
Clap weird or like clasp the hand of a business friend that you have. Like get the fuck out of there. Like go in a box. I'm sure there's plenty of fancy boxes with really expensive chicken fingers you can have. Like, not interested. Don't like it's like so showy. Stop. They're not if they're good, then like fine. If they're really good, fine. But you're not Mark Cuban. Like you're not the face of the team. You just got weird lips and
dark
like
jeans,
you're just trying to rip a bunch of people off. And you're like a Devils guy. Like get out. Who cares? Go into a box and lock yourself in there. That sucked. Anyway.
Yeah, they do show Josh Harris a lot. I, for one, have had enough of a la shaming the fans for not believing in one thing or another.
Yeah.
Like, the fans were booing. He was reminding them how much time was left.
Yeah, that sucked. Yeah. I agree with you. Rightfully so. Like, that sucked. He was being like, there's plenty of time left. Like, come on, man. This isn't propaganda.
Come on.
We don't have to do it.
You've been here long enough.
It's better when you're pissed off when they're playing bad.
Yeah.
It's a better product.
I understand the first year you're here, you want to be like mega homer, second year, whatever. You've been here like 5-6 years or whatever. You can like say, hey, this is bullshit or whatever. The fans will love that. That's what they love about Larry Anderson, is that he's like, fuck these guys, so.
And Zumoff would do that in a way, like he wouldn't say it that much, but his voice and demeanor would say it. And I think that came across. Like just sort of slowing down and sometimes not talking. Like he conveyed it as a fan. And Kate, obviously, it's her first year. Like she is getting the feeling of it. She's getting a feel of the city and everything. But I agree that I would like Allah to be more pissed off.
Yeah.
Be more like, you don't have to be like Homer guy and like making your little jokes.
He started doing this thing when Maxey was playing well. He goes, because Zumoff used to do it too. Like but I was told, the Kelly Cow, but I was told. And Allah was like, there were a lot of people saying that these two couldn't succeed on the court together. Ha ha ha. Maxey and Embiid. And I was like, nobody was saying that they can't succeed on the court together. Like, nobody was saying that. Nobody was saying that. You don't need to shame everybody for noticing that Maxey wasn't playing well with Embiid on the court.
Mhm.
Come on, man. Come on. If you want to be from here, you got to be from here. All right. Anything else? Do you want to talk about? Can we leave this game in the rear view? Or
There's just more games ahead though. They're
yeah.
just
Well, we can do
all
other
out in front of
stuff.
us. Let's do other stuff.
Okay. All right. You'll like this. Well, first of all, terrible news for Apple Podcast ratings. We were at 2,988. So we are 12 away from 3,000. So over the holidays, it seems like I'll be doing the reviews podcast.
This comes from Christmas.
Yep. This comes from Max Benji 12. The subject line is great use of fakakta. Spike and Mike, longtime listener, first-time commenter. I usually listen to this podcast while driving home or doing the dishes with my headphones in. Not today. I was getting ready in the morning and decided to listen via Bluetooth speaker. My wife doesn't care about basketball and was ignoring the podcast for the most part until Spike said something about, quote, some fakakta list. And then she realized why I love the show. Keep up the good work and try to slide some more Yiddish in the show. Max L. So today, and the Apple Podcast review.
Keep talking. I'll be back in a second.
Okay. The Apple Podcast review was brought to you by Stateside Urban Craft Vodka. CJ, there's a big surprise coming from Stateside. We were talking about Stateside last week about you needing some vodka sodas, and you're going to get some vodka sodas, the single flavor ones. I got the Black Label Bourbon here, but there is I don't even know what I'm allowed to say. I'm sorry. I don't know what I'm allowed to say. I just know that there's a surprise coming from Stateside for you, for Mike, for me, and for everyone. So they're the sponsor of the Corner 3 newsletter with Zoe. So anyway, today is December 15th, and at midnight this morning, what happened? Anything, Mike? You're muted.
Sorry. We hung some wallpaper recently. Was all happy with ourselves, and it occasionally falls down. It sucks.
Yep.
It blows. Oh god.
Yeah. I'm sorry.
So I put some temporary hold tape in until we can figure it out later.
Fix it. All right. So
that's
today,
the wallpaper is the Sixers. It's great.
A surprise for you. I was talking about Stateside. There's a surprise coming for all of us from Stateside. A thing. We'll get it in the mail, but everybody will have access to it soon. I won't tell you what it is. It's great news from Stateside. Anyway, midnight this morning, it became December 15th, where not every player in the NBA became eligible to be traded. Those that signed extensions could not, but free agents that were signed in the offseason became eligible to be traded, and almost the entire league. We didn't think it was realistic, really, that the trade would happen today, but we were hopeful. There's been a lot of noise over the last couple of days with December 15th happening. Teams that were supposedly interested in making the trade. The Knicks were mentioned. The Pelicans were mentioned as a team that was offering picks. And I think that was it. I think those were the only two new teams that were mentioned. Would be a certain level of hilarity for them to trade him to the Knicks, given my history and my new job. If he were to get traded to the Knicks, though, I think that is unlikely unless it was a third team, and I don't think they would trade for him.
I thought of today. I haven't seen him talked about much as a possibility. Obviously, it's not perfect, and I know how you feel about him.
Yeah.
But I was thinking about Zion.
Oh God, no!
I was thinking that he clearly doesn't want to be in New Orleans. He's obviously got some health issues. It would be a probably throwaway this year as they figure it all out and stuff. But he does shoot some. And he's an incredible defender, or projects to be eventually an incredible defender, and an incredible, just a superhuman person on the basketball court. Not a perfect fit with Embiid, but as far as like him versus like the other C+ type things, it'd be a swing, but it'd be a cool swing. And I was thinking about it today, if you could make it work, like Zion and like Satoransky and stuff to make the money work.
Oh my God,
it would be interesting. And Ben would be a better fit there between Ingram and Valanciunas, who's now shooting pretty regularly.
Oh my God. No,
Thought it was a possibility.
I read he was like 325 pounds and
Yeah, but so was Joel.
Joel's 7 inches taller.
7?
Yeah, Zion's like 6'6", right?
It's hard to really know how tall he is because he's just so wide in such a specific way.
No,
but I believe in him getting eventually to a place where he is in good shape. at some
Well,
point.
I went back through my draft notes, and my draft notes with him would draft him if he was 30 pounds lighter. His knee is going to explode, and knee hasn't exploded yet, but the broken foot that won't heal, the knee, the weight issues. I mean, like, I'd rather
It
have him
sounds
than-
exactly like what people would say about Embiid before the draft, though, or
I
like
do.
after the draft, after the foot and all that stuff. People were saying similar stuff, and I know that he's smaller, but he's also significantly more agile in a bunch more ways. And
Well, I
all
don't
that
think
stuff.
Embiid had weight issues before the draft.
No, not before the draft.
Yeah,
No.
it was, but Zion did.
Mhm.
So
It
it would be a
interesting thing because-
hilarious trade. It would be a great pod. Us waiting around for fucking a year to see Zion never play for Philadelphia.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean,
And
obviously
eventually
we've
retire.
done plenty of foot issue stuff. I was reminded today, I haven't thought about it in a while. Obviously, this is part of his history, but like how many ankle issues Steph Curry had
Oh,
earlier
yeah, a
in his
lot.
career.
Yeah.
I just think the way that like science and medicine, like you can get there, and Embiid got there, and you have to like want it, and he has to put the work in and like get in better shape. Obviously, all this stuff, but he's an incredible basketball player. He is a special basketball player. He is, of course, he is.
Yeah, I'm sorry for making the face. I just I look at him and I'm like, never gonna happen. I mean, I would make the trade. Who cares? Like at this point, sure, that would be funny. But if I had a bet, I wouldn't bet on that guy. I just wouldn't bet on him. His body type and how he plays, like with all that explosion, like I wonder if there's been damage that can never be undone to his body at this
Yeah.
point. Yeah.
People say the same. Really, people say the same thing about Embiid. They really, really do. And if there's anybody that could go like, "Hey, here's what I had to do to get into like playing conditions so that I could sustainably play and deal with some injuries as they come," like Embiid and Zion would be like a really, I don't know interpersonally how they would be, but like experientially, like he would have it, and they would be really. I mean, they would terrorize people. You want to talk about like people being like physical and violence at the rim and overwhelming people and stuff like that. It would be a special look for sure. So I don't know, just a new thought, as there hasn't been any new thoughts really in a long time because we've been stuck in this holding pattern for 6 months. So a new thought.
Imagine the Chick-fil-A orders between Zion and Embiid. They said Springer for their team flight would be with those two guys. Probably have to send 2 rookies instead of just Matisse for that. You mentioned Steph Curry. Oh, what's that?
I was just gonna say George Niang has a podcast now because why doesn't he? And Korkmaz did a couple weight jokes at his expense.
Oh, right. The Niang podcast has a funny name, right? Doesn't it?
The Big Niang theory.
That's what it is, right?
I don't know if it's funny so much as it is a pun.
Yeah,
it rhymes.
That's right. Yep.
It's a very the best ability is availability style. Like, well, we have to say it because it rhymes, and then we'll call it that.
He's the minivan. He thinks he's Michael Jordan. We're going to talk about Danny Ainge in a second, as well as Steph Curry, who you just mentioned. First, we're going to talk about Body Bio. I never remember this. There's a phrase that I never. Oh, immune system. Immune system. Very, very important. Body Bio helping you along. Mention all the time. Number 1 most important thing, your diet. Number 2, sleep. Those things are going to help your immune system very, very much. Eat the right things, sleep. But we could all use a little bit extra. Being hydrated the right way. Extra vitamin C. Body Bio. Both designed for your body to be hydrated correctly and vitamin C to get directly into your cells. We love Body Bio. Family owned, family operated, right here in the area. Actually, they're in Jersey now that I'm in Jersey. E-Light is the thing that's going to hydrate you. No artificial flavors, no artificial colors, no sugar, just electrolytes to balance out the water. In the morning, whenever you drink what you drink, put it in there, a capful. You're set for the day. I used to get cramps in my calves and in my hamstrings. Not anymore. Not with Elite. And liposomal vitamin C. What it is a vitamin C supplement that waits to release until it gets into your cells. It's not water soluble like every other vitamin C supplement you see, or even like the vitamin C that comes in foods. So it waits to get into your cells so your body absorbs more of it. Body Bio. Love this company. Love Mike. Love Jess. Love everybody at Body Bio. Love their products. Use code RTRS20 at Body Bio for 20% off everything in the store. Just try the Elite. It's cheap, like $10. Try the Elite. RTRS20, bodybio.com. Body Bio. Body Bio, Body Bio, Body Bio. You mentioned Steph Curry. Of course, he broke the 3-point record last night at Madison Square Garden. Couple of questions for you. The first thing is, I believe this is the first time I've ever seen an NBA like totals record, one that would be celebrated in baseball or something, you know, celebrated in basketball like that. It felt weird. I didn't have a problem with it, but it felt a little out of place to be celebrating that record like that, especially given the disparity between the amount of 3-pointers that are shot now compared to the people who broke it. Steph Curry's a great player. Love watching him. Just felt like a strange thing to celebrate in the NBA the way they celebrated it.
Yeah, I like that it happened in a similar way to baseball, as you said.
Yeah.
There just hasn't been many records broken. You know, like
They
everybody's
just don't
so far
talk
ahead.
about totals all that much in the
Well, because
in
nobody's that
basketball.
close to beating anybody. You know,
Hmm.
like people sometimes will pass. Hey, he passed. You know, LeBron passed Kobe or whatever, or anything like that. And it's like, okay, you moved from like 6 to 7, 6 to 5, or 4 to 3 or something. But like the people in front generally in almost every category are so far ahead that it's just, there hasn't been many opportunities to. But I like it. I think it's cool. I think it's cool that Rayon was there. And of course, it happened over Alec Burks. So it was a Sixer. We were counting it. It had to be. It had to be a Sixer. So thank you, Alec, for lightly contesting a very historic 3.
I'm watching it and I'm trying to think about, like, it's obviously on an away court. You know, the Madison Square Garden is referred to by most players as like the place to do everything. But it is like sort of embarrassing that the crowd acted the way it did. And like the away sort of celebration for this. I thought was
He's the coolest player ever. It's a regular season game. The Knicks are mediocre.
But they shouldn't be mediocre, right? Like it.
No, they should be mediocre. They overperformed last year, and this year they'll, fight for a play-in spot. It's
I
cool.
thought it was a little embarrassing.
It's cool in the same way that like any other, in baseball, there's more of that like respect in baseball from opposing crowds when you have like a big hit or something like that. You get like the round of applause, and I think it's cool. Steph is like a generational player. He's incredibly fun to watch. The Knicks haven't been good in a long time. It was early in the game. I think it's the right cocktail for it. I don't blame him at all.
I work with a great dude named Keith. Keith does the night show at FAN, and he is a giant Nets fan. And there's the Nets Knicks thing. Keith McPherson, and Keith calls Madison Square Garden something like the NBA's multi-use facility in New York. Like basically saying that everything happens there for everybody else except for the Knicks, which I thought was funny.
Mm-hmm.
The other thing that happened in the NBA, oh, by the way, the number 1 3-point for the Sixers, number 1 most 3-pointers is Iverson, and number 2 is Robert Covington. So would love for Cov to say number 2 forever. So the other thing that happened is former Celtics president of basketball operations, Danny Ainge, not only is now the president of basketball operations and general manager for the Utah Jazz, but he stole Scott O'Neal's prospective job by also becoming the CEO of Jazz basketball, taking both jobs. Yeah, can I say the fact that there's a couple things about it. Just made me think about Scott O'Neal. There's a couple things here. One thing to know about these super rich dudes and all this kind of stuff is they don't. You notice they didn't like fire Scott O'Neal. They don't want to show anybody up because you never know if you could work with the guy again, which must mean that as soon as Daryl Morey got here, he wanted to replace him, but they were like, let's let him take a year to try to get a job or something. And they gave Scott O'Neal almost a year to try to get a job, and he couldn't get one. And you know that they were just waiting to push him out because they announced a new CEO like within minutes of Scott O'Neal leaving.
He's a novelist. He's a published author. He's out there doing the grind. It's hard. It's hard to be a writer. I feel Scott and I are kindred spirits, obviously, and retiring from wearing a suit every day and really focusing on the blank page, I think is harder than it looks, and it's beautiful. I respect him for it.
I don't have any thoughts about Danny Ainge going to the Jazz. It seems about right? He's Mormon from Utah, seems perfect. He'll just be there forever.
I guess. I mean, it's very bizarre. Yeah.
Who was there?
He was in Boston for a long time. Like, he was in Boston for a really long time.
Mm-hmm.
And to leave pretty suddenly, to just be like, all right, I want to go somewhere else. I want to do less, but also kind of be the boss of the president / GM, Justin Zanuck over there. I mean, well, they're doing ostensibly well. It's not like you're coming in to Colangelo somebody. You're coming in to a team that's been a top seed for a long time. I don't know. I wonder if I was a Celtics fan, I might be like, come on. I mean, it's pretty similar to what Daryl did.
Yeah.
And
Daryl never got the CEO title, though, in fairness, which Danny did.
I don't know if he wanted it or not. But it seemed like Rockets fans, certainly the Rockets owner, was very pissed off. And I wonder if Celtics fans are as well. They're a little bit like, what the fuck? You left us with these a lot of mediocre draft picks and short rotation and two guys who, again, we don't talk about enough because we talk about it with Ben and Embiid. Jalen and Jason haven't been successful together. Trade one of them to us, please.
Would you trade?
It's only fair.
Would you trade Embiid and 25 for Jaylen Brown and Jason Tatum? Straight up.
No, I think Embiid is the better player.
But
either of them by a lot, and I think that the two of them together, there's something just in the same way that Embiid, he's been there long enough to where a lot of the problems just stem from him and or his preferences, them playing slow and not being a good passing team and struggling against the zone, all that stuff. It's partially Embiid's fault, and struggling in the playoffs, obviously. But you could say the same thing about Tatum and Brown. They've been there a long time. It's been a long, long time for them.
The hard to stomach YouTube comment of the week, two of them. We got a lot of comments this week. The first one came from Urban Radio Nation. Absolutely the best Sixers podcast. Checked out of the Ricky pod early on pre-YouTube days and hated your fandom for Hinkie. Very painful days. Spike's dad really exposed Sam and the Kool-Aid you were drinking. But now a few years later, you guys are clearly the best. The strangest come into the pod. So the next part comes from Chris Ronas. Is Mike's hair a reflection of his success? We went from deep pandemic, long-haired convenience store clerk to a decent short haircut, and now it's gelled and textured. Where to next?
Figuring it out.
Yeah.
We grew it out long because there's nothing else to do, and then it got long to the point of, people being concerned, rightfully so. It was that the hair was a real token of my depression during a very dark time in the world, and then we're like, all right, let's figure it out. And we're just I think we're finding it. We're still finding it. We're figuring it out. Sometimes I just don't, I don't treat the YouTube like it's like I'm going on camera. I'm not,
even though you are.
I'm not popping up with a ring light and all that stuff. I'm not. It's partial of that is laziness, and partial of that is look, we did the podcast before there was YouTube, so I'm gonna pretend like it's the same thing. Showing up, talking on the microphone. This is it. There's no look happening here. It's just how I happen to be after the Sixers game. Sometimes my face is red from being upset.
Sometimes you're wearing Christmas pajamas.
It's not pajamas, just a sweater.
Oh, really? It looked like Christmas. My mom always buys me Christmas pajamas, and they look like.
No, just I don't. It's not.
Are those dinosaurs? It's
They're
like
dinosaurs.
Christmas dinosaurs.
Yeah, it's chilly here, so I haven't just put it over my t-shirt.
Yeah. See, that's a reason to watch the YouTube. And congratulations to CJ as we hit 6,000 YouTube subscribers this week. Finally, we're about like 15 months into YouTube for real. About CJ, something like that. About 15 months into it, 6,000 subscribers. Not bad. Appreciate everybody that watches. Just he nods for everyone on the YouTube.
Pops on the camera to nod.
The mailbag, writes to RickySanchez@gmail.com. Send us one basketball, one non-basketball question. Writes to RickySanchez@gmail.com. This comes from Liz. Hey, Spike and Mike. Couple of basketball questions for the basketball podcast. First, could Sixers Adam make a list of 20 people he would take a non-lethal bullet for? I think we could get Adam to do that.
Sure.
We pay him.
Go for it, Adam.
Spike, which Sixers would you allow to watch Rebel for 1 week? Harris. I feel like he's the answer to all these questions.
A responsible $35 million.
Harris, probably Maxey. Milton seems like a dog guy and a stay-at-home guy, which is important. I think those are the three. Yeah, I think those are the three. Mike, list 5 things that bring you joy.
No.
No.
Just give me prompts. You call it it's an email, like it's a mailbag. You ask questions. You don't like give me tasks. Get out of here.
Jump.
Yeah,
Will the Ricky ever have a TikTok account? Not that I run. I went into TikTok once and I couldn't swing it. I ran out of there. It was like when my wife told me about Pinterest. I went in there. I was like, "Ooh, this isn't for me," and I ran out. Some
things you don't need. You don't need to figure out everything. Some things are just like, I got what I got, and I'll occasionally add some little flourishes to it, but we don't have to.
Yeah.
You're not going to be the master of everything.
Before we get to a great PJ email, PJ, love PJ. PJ has sent us a ton of emails and also gave us a jigsaw, not to be confused with CJ. Beforehand, I would like to talk about Big Barker dog beds. It is a very sad day for me here in Springfield, New Jersey, as normally in the middle of the week, my wife goes down and works in Philly for a couple of days where her job is. And normally it's me and the dog. We hang out for a couple of days. But since he had that tummy problem, he's pooping all over the place. She took him to her parents, my in-laws. So no Rebel these couple of days. And Wednesdays we usually do the pod, but Tuesdays I usually order DoorDash, watch basketball on TV, and hang out with Rebel. And he's not there. I usually fall asleep on the couch. In any case, he is sleeping on a regular bed down in Delaware County. He is not sleeping on his Big Barker, which is next to our bed. That is where he is treated like a king. The Big Barker dog bed is where my dog gets treated like a king and your dog could get treated like a king. BigBarker.com/Ricky. BigBarker.com/Ricky is where you go to get the Big Barker dog bed, but also get the processed pup patches along with the Big Barker dog bed. I love to treat my dog like a king. I like to make his life as good as possible when he's not shitting on the floor. And that's why I get him a Big Barker dog bed. If you've adopted a dog, you have not gotten that dog the best bed possible. You're not giving that dog the best life possible. Why Big Barker dog beds? Well, because dogs are like humans in that if they sleep on a bad bed at night, they're going to be creaky in the morning. Dogs develop arthritis as they age, just like we do. That's why a supportive bed, like the Big Barker, proven by Penn Vet, is necessary for you to get your dog. BigBarker.com/Ricky. Up to 80% of dogs over 50 pounds develop arthritis as they age. The Big Barker, also for every size dog, from the Barker Jr. all the way up to the extra large Big Barker. Engineered by experts to keep dogs youthful for longer and brings older dogs back to their best. 10-year warranty. The foam doesn't flatten or they replace it for free. 1 year at-home trial. If you don't like it, they'll even pay for the shipping to return it. Handmade in the USA. Big Barker dog beds.
Woof. And woof to this wallpaper, which I'm trying to keep up by a friggin' thread.
Here we go. This comes from PJ. As I follow the Dame situation on Twitter, I'm frequently seeing Blazers fans admit that their situation is hopeless and say that they support Dame going to a team where he has a chance for a championship. How miserable would the Sixers situation have to be for a significant chunk of Sixers fans to support Joel asking out? Feels like we need a doomsday clock. Doesn't feel like we're that far. Seems like something that could happen in the middle of next season if things didn't go the right way.
Yeah, maybe. Yeah. They're it's tough because like some of the things that are wrong with the Sixers are at least partially due to Joel. Like he's the best player on the team, so he bears some responsibility for it, but certainly not most of it. And you'd look at their on-off numbers when he's there and versus when he's not, it's like pretty clear that that's not the issue. Obviously, the most famous example of that is the Raptors series from a few years ago. But part of that is that like they're always going to be negative without him on the court. But like, can you be less negative? He's the best player on the team. He's an incredible on-off guy. Like, just make it. Just don't die every time. So I think eventually, especially the more you see Joel like go all out and like be exhausted on the court and feel like responsible as he like is fighting for a position in the post and they can't get him the ball, or he's kicking it out and guys keep missing shots, or nobody penetrates, they're slow, all that stuff. So I don't think it's unreasonable to think by mid next season we're like, just somebody rescue Joel from this franchise. I hope not. I don't think it's likely that it happens, but
but it's possible. Yeah. Non-basketball question. You've both moved recently. What are your moving strengths and weaknesses? Would love CJ's take too, as CJ just moved as well. All three of us moved. I will start. Once I turn into moving mode, I am singularly focused. I'm a dick in packing and unpacking. I cannot, if I know I got to move, I can't live in an unpacked house. And if I've already moved, I can't live in an unpacked house. So that would be my strength. Also my weakness, I think, too. And I'm a big thrower outer during moving. Love throwing shit out when I move. So, but I can be a real asshole.
I'm okay. We moved ourselves. We were in a one bedroom for a long time. That was the first time we moved together because I moved into her apartment when we moved in together. And so we didn't have that like a ton of stuff. Although things add up pretty quick. We shared responsibility. It was, slightly aggravating to have that many boxes and stuff, but we unpacked it pretty quick. I would say we far faster than most because we didn't want to like live with these boxes and stuff. Weakness, yeah. I mean, my weakness is that I get cranky when I'm hungry and like abandon all any tact or thoughts or even remember that I'm hungry and why that's the reason why I'm being cranky. It is really the source of any argument Alyssa and I ever have is because I'm hungry. And that's it. And then we laugh about it when I eat something.
CJ?
I think my pro and my cons are very similar. My pro is I like to do everything myself. Moving wise, I like took multiple trips to do it myself. Con is I probably could have asked for help and it would have alleviated some stuff. But like if I'm helping someone else move, I think I do a really good job. Work hard, but
how many trips to move your like 6 posters? You're like 9 years old. What the fuck do you have?
Well, like my couch, my desk, my bed.
Oh, you had a couch. Okay.
I do.
All right.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. My
Sorry.
fault. My bad. CJ's got a fucking baller chair too. He's got everything. A jigsaw from PJ. For the rest of your life, Mike, you're only allowed to travel by driving a full-size 1990s yellow school bus. You're allowed to walk, run, and bike for leisure, but any type of commuting has to be done by driving the bus, even if you live in a walkable area. You can fly somewhere, but the bus will magically be there when you land. Assume it's normal car maintenance, but you're responsible for parking. The other option, you must get a large upper neck tattoo of the crypto.com name or logo.
Bus. Bus. Absolute bus. Thrilled to be driving bus. 100% bus. I am the bus man.
I'd have to quit my job. I'm not doing the bus. I would get the next. I mean, at this point, what the fuck? I can get tattoos for a bit. At this point, I'd get the crypto.com tattoo. I don't want it, but that's what I would do. This comes from Ben. Yeah, let's do it this one. Hey guys, as I am personally not a fan of Doc as a coach for the Sixers, I was wondering who you guys think would be the absolute best coach for this particular Sixers team as it's constructed right now, flawed and slow as it may be. Could be any NBA coach, current or past, from any team. Do you have a thought on this? I don't think coaches matter, so I don't
think they
care.
matter enough to make that much of a difference. I went on the Spinsters podcast with Jordan Liggins today, and she asked about hiring Doc Rivers instead of Ty Lue. And I feel like Ty Lue's a creative coach and a better coach, and would do a better job of this. I wonder how much of like Heat culture TM is like Spoelstra getting guys there versus them just like acquiring players that are more predisposed to, play their ass off aggressively. I don't think a coach would really make that much of a difference, although it would certainly save some aggravation. They'd be a better team with a better coach. But I think they'd be a worse team with a worse coach. I think he's like fucking the 13th best coach in the league most of the time, until he's like the worst coach I've ever seen.
Yeah, I don't think it matters all that much. The thing that Spoelstra has that is not talked about all that often is he has full buy-in from his boss. And when you have support like that from your boss, like Spoelstra is Riley's guy, and that matters. It does. When especially, and I think that showed, and it shows when he has, difficult situations with star players. And if the star player knows that he can't get rid of the coach, and can't, I think that makes a difference. And I think having Riley and having the organization behind Spoelstra, I think not that he's not a good coach, but it creates an atmosphere where he can be a better coach. Non-basketball question from Ben. There are many folks around the world who have lost their sense of taste and smell after contracting COVID. Here's my question. If you lost your sense of taste for the rest of your life, what would your strategy for eating be? Continue eating what you've always eaten? Eat much healthier because it doesn't matter what things taste like? How much more important would the consistency and texture be, and how food feels in your mouth? So I had this. I was without taste for 4 days. It was stranger than I thought it was going to be. But I also ate more normal than I thought I would. Like, it wasn't as disruptive as I thought it would be. Now I eat the same thing every day, basically. And the fact that I could taste spiciness sort of helped, but I didn't change anything. Have you contemplated that? I'm sure you've thought about it.
Yeah. I mean, my writing partner, Patrick, who's been on the podcast, got COVID a month ago, I guess at this point. And he lost his taste for only like a day or two. He said it was very strange. And he was like, I may as well just like eat very healthy because I can't taste it. So why not? So I guess I would probably do the same thing. But I don't know. I'm not a big texture guy anyway. That's not something I consider. I know a lot of people do, but maybe I would. I don't know.
I didn't even notice until I think I told the story when it happened, but I was eating, I got made fun of for this. I was eating an apple with peanut butter on it. And it wasn't until like the third piece that I was like, wait a minute, I don't think I taste this. And I went over to a bottle of bourbon and put my nose in it to see if I could smell it. And I couldn't smell it. And that's when I realized that I couldn't taste it. And then it became obvious that I couldn't taste it. Final email comes from Scott from South Jersey, living in Utah. I love this email. He's so angry. I've emailed you about toxic positivity and Tobias Harris's lack of production and hustle and defense stats. I don't expect you to read all of this on the pod, but I feel the need to attempt to facilitate another discussion about low energy Tobias Harris. Mike kind of defended and complimented Harris on the recent pod, so this is a response to that. It's not his numbers. Did you watch him tonight? The guy has no fight in him, no hustle. Team leader, get the fuck out of here. He never shows a sense of urgency on the court, regardless of the situation. He gets out-hustled by bigger players, out-muscled by smaller players, showcases a very low basketball IQ, never goes all out for loose balls, deflections, or shot contesting, meanders back on defense, stops at mid-court when it appears a teammate is going to take a shot. Of all of the when he's needed most by his coaches and his coach and teammates. And guess what? He's been like this his entire career. Why are some still defending this guy? This is an example of toxic positivity, essentially dismissing Tobias's negative traits and responding.
No one is defending Tobias as like a great player. Like no one is doing that. There's no one doing that.
Again, forget Harris's flawed offensive game because it's not about that. He doesn't try. Just fucking watch him. He gets flustered when he doesn't get the ball and refuses to hustle or move with purpose without the ball. He doesn't try on defense when a mistake is made.
This email is but I was told Tobias was worth 35 million. Like no one is arguing against you, bro. Like we know, like he is a flawed player. There's a lot of frustrating things about him. He does some things and not well enough. He doesn't do enough things decent enough. He's just kind of there and he's getting paid a fuckload of money. And it's part of the reason why the team is struggling. Tobias
Harris is bad because he doesn't try hard enough and nobody is talking about it. Some fucking leader. And non-basketball question. If you could Thanos snap one 90s lead vocalist back from the dead, who would you choose? He says Shannon Hoon for me with Lane Staley as a close second. Always been a Cobain guy. I would pick Kurt Cobain.
There you go.
You have a 90s?
I don't think I have a long enough list in my head to start making choices.
Okay. Well, maybe, who knows? Maybe the next time we do the podcast, there'll be a trade. I don't know. You never know.
You never know, but you kind of do.
Yeah, probably won't happen. Fuck. Also, I got a spam email basically saying that it knows it's been watching me through the camera in my computer. And it says, "You have certainly amazed me. The fact that impresses me is that you are an adult, but you practice such filthy things that are uncharacteristic of adults."
I think I got that email too.
Oh, really?
Must listen to the podcast.
You play with yourself as if you are a machine gun. Yeah. It's truly unfortunate that there is no at the Olympics. I bet you would take first place. I think your relatives will understand you, but what would your buddies say? If I was in your shoes, I'd clearly ask professionals for help.
I read this email. I got this email.
Like, you play with yourself as if you are a machine gun. All right. Okay. We'll talk to you this weekend. Keep playing with yourself as if you're a machine gun. Are you down with TTP?
Yeah. Lick face.